All right, guys, this is Tara Devlin, and this is Devlin versus the News. Let's get into it. Let me just start off by saying that the assassination of Charlie Kirk is a grotesque and nihilistic act of political violence, and it should not occur in a functioning society. It's repugnant, and honestly, I'm horrified by it. As much as I loathe Charlie Kirk, no one deserves to be killed for their political beliefs. But this is an inevitable byproduct of an ecosystem that the Republicans have cultivated. They spent years constructing this to tear us apart. Charlie Kirk, unfortunately for him and his family and his children, he pays a heavy price for the system that he helped create. The Republican response to Charlie Kirk's murder, it's proof that Republicans have zero interest in unifying the country. Take Donald Trump's immediate response in the aftermath. He didn't call for calm or a plea against retaliation. As I record this, we don't know who did this, who the perpetrator is, but Trump is already labeling the person a radical left lunatic. Of course, this is a fascist reflex to blame the manufactured enemy without evidence. Republicans are canonizing Kirk as a hero, a martyr, giving him the full Horst Wessel treatment. And for those who don't know, Horst Wessel was a young Nazi stormtrooper in the 1930s. He was an early adopter of the Nazi bowel movement, a repugnant human being. And he got killed in a bar fight with communists, and Joseph Goebbels turned him into a martyr. We don't know who did this yet. As I record this, the assassin is still unknown, but that didn't stop Traitor Trump, and it's not stopping the rest of the Republicans from vilifying liberals. It just goes to show you that they have no interest in a functioning society. This is what they want. Especially now, Trump uses it to distract from the Epstein files. What a great opportunity it is to get the media and everyone else looking in another direction. We know they're full of shit. They don't care about unity. There was no flags at half-mast when the Minnesota State Rep Melissa Hortman and her husband were gunned down in their home. There's no calls for the Medal of Freedom. No. For Republicans, political violence only exists when it's politically advantageous to them. The selective outrage reveals the truth. Republicans aren't horrified by violence. They want it. They expect it. And in fact, there's numerous studies that show that regardless of what Elon Musk and Jesse Waters and the filthy fascists on Fox News, the lies that they're spreading about the radical left, political violence is not a both sides do it affair. For the most part, it stems from the right. From the attempted kidnapping of Michigan's governor, to the hammer attack on Paul Pelosi, to the January 6th insurrection. The right not only excuses violence, but celebrates it. Just by the fact that the Republicans suppress these studies and they cry victim when the studies are presented, they don't want to hear it. They say, oh, they're picking on us. That's not the case. In order to overcome a problem, you got to identify that problem. But they don't have an interest in that. Now, if the shoe was on the other foot, if it were that all of a sudden liberals were taking up arms and committing violent acts against political opponents, you could rest assured that the Democrats, the progressives, the normal people would want to get to the bottom of it. We would want to figure out what's going on here. Something is wrong and we have to address it sincerely and legitimately so it doesn't happen again. But Republicans have no interest in that, as we see with the way that they're behaving. Manufacturing a martyrdom for Charlie Kirk, who is a hate monger. You know, I didn't like him. I didn't like what he said. Like I said, I'm horrified by his murder. It's absolutely disgusting. He had the right to say his disgusting things without being killed. We know that. Liberals know that. What the Republicans are doing is making sure that this kind of divisiveness continues. And I don't have to tell you, Charlie Kirk, less than a week after 3 children and 3 adults were killed by gun violence, at the Covenant School in Nashville. Kirk said their deaths were worth it as the cost that we pay for the Second Amendment.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Toddlers paying with their lives and the traumas of growing up with live shooter drills, that's worth it. Now, that's repugnant. He was a repugnant person. He was a racist. He was a misogynist. This is a guy that dropped out of community college to pursue his lucrative grift in poisoning the minds of impressionable young men and tearing the country apart with his divisive rhetoric. I guess his greatest accomplishment was being born straight, acting, and white and male. And he was holding on to that privilege for all it was worth. If all things are equal, then we will figure out just how inadequate he truly is without his privilege. But the fact is, we figured it out every time he opened his mouth. The Republican Party created him. He's a grifter. And there's a real lucrative industry in right-wing grievance. That's all they are, as a grievance machine. They normalize this idea of political hate. And Charlie Kirk made a lot of money fomenting this division. Socialists, groomers, vermin. Make no mistake, Republicans want a civil war. They do. Trump is talking about it. He's declaring war on not blue states. He's declaring war on America because the blue states are the bastions of freedom and democracy. We're the ones carrying the mantle of the American Revolution and the Constitution. Republicans, they've normalized the idea that their political opponents aren't fellow Americans, but evil conspirators, that compromising with Democrats is tantamount to treason. There's only one party talking about Second Amendment remedies and storming the Capitol to stop the peaceful transfer of power. There's only one party that's pardoning traitors, that's building monuments to traitors. They've normalized the idea of political hate. They can't even say the name of the Democratic Party, these people. So don't believe their calls for unity. Political scientist Rachel Bidikofer, who's been on the Tara Show every Tuesday and Thursday right here on the Political Voices Network, she wrote a great article about this, and she details the long documented history of right-wing violence. She calls it the asymmetric polarization, where one party moves into ideological extremism and the other is forced to respond. As Bidikofer notes, calling out authoritarianism and proto-fascism is not escalation, it's diagnosis. I'm not the only one pointing out the similarities between the way the Republicans are responding to the murder of Charlie Kirk and the way the Nazis exploited the death of Horst Wessel in the early 30s. George Conway is highlighting these similarities as well on his Twitter feed. Of course, the Republicans are flipping out because that's what they do when you tell the truth about them. They don't have an interest in looking at themselves. They're following the same playbook. Stoke the culture war grievances, demonize opponents, turn a tragedy into a political weapon. Republican leadership, meanwhile, continues to give lip service to lowering the temperature, but they have no interest in this. Their rank and file is intensifying the blame game. We still don't know who did this. Don't go on Twitter because it is a cesspool. The modern GOP has one interest, that is dividing America, not healing it. They're not calling for restraint. They're calling for civil war, and that's what they want. Hey, why don't you just secede? We won't stop you this time, you know? In the end, the orchestrated response to Charlie Kirk's murder is not about unity or a moment of reflection. It's about consolidating power and keeping America at each other's throats. In order to do that, this is what the fascists have always done. The echoes of Horst Wessel in today's Republican Party are not a coincidence. This is a strategy. That's how authoritarians thrive. And ironically, Charlie Kirk was part of cultivating the very environment that led to his unconscionable murder. And the Republican response to it, guarantees the violence will continue. Guys, let me know what you think. Thank you for listening. My name is Tara Devlin. Check out The Tara Show every Tuesday and Thursday right here on the Political Voices Network with myself and Tara Dublin, and my show, Tara Buster, every Friday on the Political Voices Substack and the Tara Buster YouTube channel, youtube.com/c4channel/Tara Buster. Remember, we will win. We are on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. We stick together, we win. My name is Tara Devlin. I'll see you soon.